Lonnie Walker, cut. Joe Mazzulla says this team is not great yet. And an interesting drill with Xavier Tillman right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday, right here with a free, fresh podcast. It drops directly to your device. Watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section there. If they play on a weekend, which they do often, like they do on Saturday, look, they play Tuesday night. Opening night is Tuesday. They play Thursday in Washington. They play Saturday in Detroit. I'm going to do a post-Detroit Pistons podcast Saturday night for you on Sunday morning. So you got to be subscribed to this podcast. More free podcasting than you're going to find anywhere else. I'm John Karalis, by the way. I've been covering this team for about 20 years now. I'm doing it right now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a couple of Celtics books, Built Different, available now online and on johnkaralis.com. Signed, personalized copies, $30, shipped anywhere in the United States. Today, a few different topics. And you know what? I'm definitely bringing the NBA belt back. The NBA belt begins the defense. I'm going to call it defense of the NBA belt. For people who don't know what the NBA belt is, the champs, this year the Celtics come in. They have a fictional belt. Other people have started this, but I've taken ownership of it. They have the belt, and they defend it every night like a boxer or a UFC fighter or a wrestler would. And if they beat the Knicks, they hold on. If they lose, the Knicks get the belt. And it's a fun way to kind of track the season and follow its journey. So right now, the Boston Celtics have the belt, and I'm going to have this graphic up on the YouTube page with the belt until they lose it. Which hopefully will be not, how am I going to phrase that? Boy, I talked myself into a corner there. Well, hopefully won't be soon. So they'll lose it eventually, but hopefully not soon. Later on, I saw a very interesting drill with Xavier Tillman in practice. And I think that it's going to be a good kind of look at how the Celtics approach him and approach practice. We'll talk about Joe Mazzulla's comments that the 2024 Celtics aren't great, quote unquote, yet. Very important distinction. I'll read his quote. But I'll just start with this. Lonnie Walker, cut, waived. He's going to probably go to Maine and play for the Maine Celtics. It's the end of the most wrong I've been about anything. And later on, I'll play a clip of me being right just to balance this out. Just to get this bad taste out of my mouth. But I was very wrong about Lonnie Walker. I came onto this podcast in, what was it, July, August? No, it was actually late. It was probably September, right? And I was like, oh my God, they got great bench scoring for nothing. And he's cut, and that's it. He didn't make the team as of right now. Maybe he'll make it later on. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe another team will swoop in. It's an interesting kind of look at the league. I do think Lonnie Walker is such an interesting case for where the league is. And a very prevailing thought around these NBA circles is that this is a sign that expansion is necessary because Lonnie Walker is an NBA player. He is an NBA level player. The Celtics, they very clearly didn't have him in their plans. I thought they would. They did not. Joe Mazzulla did not put him into practice sessions, scrimmages very often. Lonnie Walker said that to us. He did not participate in a lot of these preseason games. The couple that he did, he looked good. So I do expect Lonnie Walker to play in the NBA in the 2024-25 season. Will it be for the Boston Celtics? Will it be for somebody else? I don't know. That part I really don't know. But I still think that he is capable of playing in this league. The Celtics have made all of their cuts, all of the expected cuts. No surprises there. Jaden Springer's still on the team. Jordan Walsh still on this team and looking to get that opportunity. But Lonnie Walker waived. It will be interesting to see how the Celtics approach that, how he approaches it in Maine. What does this do for the Maine Celtics? How does this impact the development of Baylor Shireman and Anton Watson? And if Jordan Walsh is down there for an extended period of time, him. And if Jaden Springer is down there for an extended period of time, him. What does Lonnie Walker's involvement with the Maine Celtics do for the development of these guys? Frankly, it might be one of the most interesting storylines of the Celtics season, because moving forward, this season is a championship level season. The Celtics should win their second straight championship. They look great. They are in a great headspace. They look like they're working really hard. The leaders, as I've talked about multiple times in this podcast, Jayson and Jaylen come in, setting a championship tone. They are ready to play. Al Horford is ready to play. Joe Mazzulla looks great. All of these guys, everything looks great. The play on the floor for the Boston Celtics might be just like buzzsaw boring. I'm not trying to there'll be plenty to talk about, but there's going to be a stretch where oh, they won again by 15. They won again by 20. What is there to say about a team that keeps winning by 20? Who knows? Maybe they don't. And I'm going to be wrong about that too. But the team itself looks poised to just be dominant. Enjoy a dominant season, especially if you're a full Boston sports fan. I know some of you are like, I like the Celtics, but I live in Indiana and I like the Colts. Or, I live in LA and I like the Celtics, but I like the Dodgers and whatever. But if you're a Boston sports fan and the Red Sox and the Patriots, just so awful. I actually watched that second quarter. Just gross. So the Celtics, everybody's going to be looking at the Celtics as a palate cleanser. But they're just going to be a dominant, good team. The Maine Celtics, now that's going to be a team it's actually going to be worth paying attention to, because how does Lonnie Walker look? Does he take anything away? Does he enhance? Does he help? Does he hurt? I don't know what that's going to be like. So it's going to be an interesting kind of scenario there. Very curious to see how that goes. Okay, so I was wrong. I was wrong about Lonnie Walker. I was right about Jordan Walsh. And here's a clip. I will tell you, I was listening to Jordan Walsh talk at practice on Saturday, and I'm like, I've heard these words before. I'm like, is Jordan Walsh listening to the podcast? Here it is side by side. I'm going to play it for everybody. It just goes to the thing I love to say. You regulars, you everydayers, you know what I'm going to say. You can say it with me. Slow down to speed up. When you're playing so fast, like Jordan Walsh has been playing, you make mistakes. When you slow down and play under control, you actually can get the defense off balance.
Trying to become more like a more complete player, a more under control player. And that was kind of my focus, trying to slow my game down and take more of a vet approach. Let me slow down a little bit. I can still get my first step off a triple threat and get by somebody. Let me just slow down a little bit so I'm a little more under control. I can see the floor. I can make the right reads, just stuff like that.
If what he was at Summer League was 115, this is 80, right?
After talking to Drew a lot, he's told me that, whenever you're going 100 miles per hour, you're gonna make a mistake. But if you're going 80, 85, then you can make that right read, make that right decision, see the floor clearly. I was 110 for sure, But now I'm trying to chill at a cool 87.
Look, man, when you're as wrong as I was about Lonnie Walker, I had to just throw that little bit in there. Just to remind people, I still know a little bit about what I'm talking about. It was so amazing that he was using the same verbiage. Super cool. Very excited about Jordan Walsh this year. Very curious to see what he's going to give. So, yeah, it's going to be he's going to be fun to watch, and I like the fact that he's got it. He's under control. He knows it. Joe Mazzulla, very specific about this team, this 2024-25 Boston Celtics team. Not great, not yet. It's coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I'm pretty open about my journey with therapy. I think it's very beneficial for a lot of people, but I've also seen the pitfalls. I also know that it's hard to find somebody. It's hard to get to a therapy session. It's hard to stick with it when the person you're with isn't quite clicking. That's why BetterHelp can really help you, because it's all done online. So it's convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with the licensed therapist. So right away, you are in with somebody, and you do it from home. You do it from wherever you want to do it. And then if you don't click with that person, you can switch at any time with no extra charge. So very beneficial. Whatever you want to talk through. If you have a fear that you want to express, if you have relationship questions, a work question, it's all done online. You can do it at your own pace, at your own time, and you can find somebody that you click with. It's really beneficial. Go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today. You get 10% off your first month. It's BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Make that your second listen. We are moving to Fridays. Jake Madison and I are moving to Fridays. Going to end the week strong. That's how you finish quarters. We're going to finish strong. After, I'm not going to make it this week, but the next week we'll start on Fridays. Jake and I moving to Fridays on Locked On NBA, covering the whole league. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're checking that out. Listen to that after you're done listening to Locked On Celtics. Joe Mazzulla was very clear about, we're talking about, I said motivation to him. I said, my question was basically, you're coming in off of a championship. It's a new challenge. Yeah, and I phrased that you've been working on new ways to motivate these guys. And he was clear. He's like, no, the motivation is fine. These guys are motivated. Now what he has been doing is coming up with new challenges, new ways to challenge the guys, I think is a better term. So I used the wrong word with him, and he was very clear. Motivation is fine. They are ready. They've come in, they're ready to play. The challenges of making sure that they are focused on, the now, making sure that they are not, they don't have that hangover, that championship hangover. That's where he's trying new things. And that's where he said, this team, quote, this team, 2024, 2025 is not great yet. That's it. Do we have the potential to be? Yes. Yet. The key word is yet. It's very important. Do we have great talent? Yes. Do we have great players? Yes. Do we have a great foundation? Yes. So is this 24-25 team great yet? No, because we haven't been in a game yet. Very focused on the now. What happened before was before. We are here now. Don't worry about that. Like they can't take the championship away from you. They're not going. You're going to put the banner up. You're going to get your rings. Those are yours forever. Now, what's next? What's your next step? So this notion, like we're not great, and he's right. This team is not great yet. We don't know what this team is going to be yet. This is his challenge. People like me are out here on this podcast, and I don't know if a player listens to this podcast, but I know people around the players listen. I know family members of the players listen, and I've been sitting here all summer gassing them up. This team, I'm saying this team is great. from the outside perspective, from the layperson perspective, I'm looking and making a judgment. I have an opinion that this team is great or will be great. Just like I said at the beginning of the show, everybody expects the Celtics to just roll through the regular season. Look at how they looked in the preseason. They did look motivated. They look pretty sharp for a team with a short offseason and championship, all the championship hoopla and all of that stuff. But they're back. They're ready. They're playing really well. The rust, very minimal. So things can change once the regular season starts. We see 5 preseason games, and you're like, wow, they beat the Nuggets. They did a couple of things. Luke Cornett looks great, and Jordan Walsh is turning heads, and all of that stuff. But when people in the orbit of the players are hearing how great this team is, then the players start to hear how great they are. And Joe has said this, Brad Stevens has said this. Winning can be as dangerous as losing. Praise is as hard to deal with as the criticism. And that's something that people don't really think about as much. The winning, the praise could be even more dangerous than losing and criticism. Because when you lose and people are saying you suck or you can't hit a shot or, what happened? You have no heart. That's something that you can internalize and be like, I'll show you, and turn it around. You use it as motivation. You get yourself better. It helps you focus. The winning, a 10-game winning streak, winning games by 30, championship, this and that. Everybody's saying, like, you walk down the street, people are like, hey, champ. You look up at the banner, you see 2024. You got a big box with a big ring. Who knows what this ring is going to look like? All of that stuff is what trips you up moving forward. So Joe has this challenge of, we are not great yet. When will we know we're great? Mid-June, when the final buzzer sounds after the Boston Celtics' 4th win in the NBA Finals. That's when they'll know how great they really are. And only then. That's the message. They won't know how great they really are until the season ends. And only one team can say, we were the greatest. That's what Boston wants to be. And Joe has to manage these ebbs and flows throughout the season. Right now, there is no noise surrounding this team. So Joe has to kind of create noise. He has to kind of create tough spots, tough situations. One of the things that I saw is how they run these shooting drills, especially with Xavier Tillman. When we talk about creating adversity, creating uncomfortable, creating things where the Celtics have to learn it's not always going to be perfect, baby. How do you deal with it? What I saw with Xavier Tillman, minor thing, but big idea, and I loved it. I'm going to explain what I saw when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, and you can get a big return on FanDuel this season because it's America's #1 sports book, and they're giving you $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. The Boston Celtics are favored over the New York Knicks on opening night by 5. You want to place $5 on that? You think the Celtics are going to win by 5 or more? Do you think the Knicks can come in and steal one after the emotion of ring night has kind of sapped the Celtics? Whichever way you want to go, however you place that $5 bet, doesn't matter, because you're going to get the 200 in bonus bets guaranteed. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats and play-by-play going to the same page where you place your bet, so you can kind of confirm that hunch. Give it a shot over at FanDuel.com. Use the tools that they have available to you. Set your limits, set your budget, so you can have some fun within your means. That's all we want you to do. Have some fun with your disposable income and gamble responsibly at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. So I'm standing there at practice on Friday, I believe, and they did this again on Saturday, watching Xavier Tillman shoot. And Sam Cassell is running the drill. And this was so great because so often you just see guys do repetitive drills. Run to the corner, catch, shoot, in timing, in rhythm. Just go to the corner, boom, catch, shoot, get to this spot. V cut, jab step, whatever it is, get back to this spot, catch it in rhythm, shoot. And you're building muscle memory when that happens. You're building habits when that happens, and that's all great. But with Tillman, they mixed in some real game situations where they basically messed with his timing. And he would start in the corner, run up, run back down to the corner, and wait, and just sit there with his hands and wait. And Sam Cassell, one time he's in the middle of the lane and he's like, JB, JT, Drew, D White, X, whew, and then he threw the pass to basically say, these guys all eat first. Jayson, Jaylen, Drew, White, they're all, whoever has the ball is looking for all of those guys first. If one of them has it, they're looking for the other three first, generally before they find Tillman. Now, that's not always the case, right? Because if you drive and draw the defense and you see your guy in the corner, you kick it. That's where you kick it. But the timing isn't always going to be, oh, I get here, I'm in rhythm, here comes the ball, step, release, boom. They just waited. Okay, here comes, this one's coming right on time. This one's coming 3 seconds after you set up, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Just wait. You've got to wait. You've got to be ready. And it's those little things. And you say, man, that's not a big deal, right? But when I posted the video, basketball people, like former players, coaches are retweeting it going, I love this. I love this. It's a minor detail that you generally don't think of. But the Celtics are making sure that the guys are ready for whatever, that they are not surprised, that they are not thrown off by whatever a game throws at them. And Tillman, to his credit, was just drilling those shots. And on Saturday, it was a different assistant coach that was working with him, but still the same idea. Those guys who are in the corners aren't always going to catch those passes on time, in rhythm. And like Derek White, I've seen him work on a drill where they make sure that they don't throw him a pass to his hands. They throw it high. They make him jump. They make him catch it at his knees. They make him catch it to his left and his right. All of these things, because how many times is the pass directly into the pocket? How many times do you see the ball just go right into somebody's hands? Boom, catch, shoot. No, sometimes it's got to move this way. You got to move that way. It's a little high. It's a little low. It's a bounce pass. You're expecting it to come at a certain speed and it's slower or too fast. All of those things they work on. This coaching staff, Joe Mazzulla and the coaches are meticulous about these little fine details. That's what makes the staff so good. And that's why Joe, with his kind of like outside the box thinking, is as good as I think he's a really good coach, because he's constantly looking for, what are we missing? What's happening in these games that we're not doing? And they're looking at every play. I'm sure they looked at a play and they said, look how long he's waiting in the corner. Do we do drills with him waiting in the corner that long? We should. Right? If Joe Mazzulla is looking at killer whales as an example for the guys, you know he's looking at the minor details like, hey, we should practice making passes sitting on the floor, because you never know when we're going to be fighting for a loose ball and we've got to make these passes. I would not be surprised if he's done that drill, because the scramble for a loose ball, fourth quarter, minute and a half left, tie game. Everybody's losing their mind. Jaylen, somebody from there, Luka, both going for the loose ball. who's going to rip it free and who's going to make that play? Who's going to find the guy? Because remember the Derek White smashing his face into the floor? Well, that ball went to Al Horford, and Al Horford spun around and found, was it Jaylen, one of those guys, for the breakaway layup. Those little things, the awareness, those little things, seeing where you are, understanding where your teammates are, finer details that are the difference between winning and losing. So it's fun. It's fun to look at a little drill like that and go like, wow, there. Sometimes it is really the simplest thing that can make a difference. How many times have you seen an invention? You're like, oh my God, that is so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? This is that kind of thing. The Celtics look ready. They feel ready. They practice on Monday. I will be there for practice on Monday. I will come back and do a podcast after that, let you know what they did and said. And then Tuesday is opening night. I will be there for opening night. I will watch the banner go up. I will get an up-close look at those championship rings. I will share everything that I can on this podcast. Remember, we're doing a new thing, a postcast after the games. So it's not me. There's another host doing the postcast, which half an hour, 45 minutes after a game, you will have an immediate reaction podcast from him. I will have my podcast after I'm done talking. I'm going to be the one in the back talking to the players, talking to the coaches, coming back with added perspective. Podcast will be there normally. Postcast will be on the same audio feed as this podcast. It will be on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page, not this YouTube page. So look for that and enjoy it. It's just more content. We'll be here for you with it all. So make sure you're subscribed. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into that comment section and have some fun. And then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.